Stock of the day is Ujjivan now, 6% higher on the stock. We have the management now joining us. Mr. Davis is, Itra Davis is with us. Mr. Davis, good morning. Best quarter in the last 10 quarters in terms of business growth. Is this sustainable?
Good morning. It's good to be with CNBC. Yes, I think, we have got some things which have now pulled together. It's almost 2 years since we started the bank, and finally everything is falling into place. We have, done the bank, the branch setup. The branches are all up and running. We have a few more branches to open in the fourth quarter. So I think it's all coming together, and it's evident in this quarter, and it will continue into the future quarters.
Okay. Mr. Davis, yes, of course, it's a stellar performance, but let me just get to some nitty-gritties. The growth of customers last quarter was, very aggressive. You had a customer growth of 9%. This time, the customer growth is 3%, but the ticket size is higher. Any more color you can give in terms of what the future growth pace will look like? Because it's a little confusing. You're probably concentrating on higher ticket customers?
This quarter we have seen some higher ticket numbers, but going forward, now that we have all the branches we had, on the 3 quarters we have opened almost 1 branch a day. So, we have all that in place. 200 odd branches have been opened. So the staff on the ground, so we'll be able to increase the number of customers. The ticket sizes went up last quarter, but I think we have reached a reasonable ticket size after having been on the lower side previously. So I think now the fourth quarter and into the new financial year, we are going to be looking at, customer growth by numbers.
Okay. So who are your new customers, Mr. Davis? This great growth that's coming in, whom are you lending to now? And since there's this wide debate about whether there is any stress building up within the MSME space, what is your stance on this?
The MSME business has started from a low base. We are now building on the secured portfolio, and that's very important to understand because the secured balance in our book is increasing, and that is one of the reasons why the MSME portfolio, the profitability may not be as high, but we are moving into that sector, and we will be building on that. The other in the microfinance space, the customer growth is from new areas. We have set up the branches, so we've got new areas around those branches which we will be looking for. So those will also help us to build the growth. And in the housing and affordable housing, that's an area also which we'll be focusing upon. And finally, the rural branches, 25% of our branches have to be in rural unbanked areas. Those have also been opened during the last 3 quarters. So all of those will give impetus to the customer growth rather than ticket size. Ticket size is a one-time sort of adjustment that we have seen this quarter, but going forward, it's the numbers that are going to make a difference.
Okay. Can you give us an idea of the cost to income? I mean, that's standing pretty high at 77.7. I would assume that's because you're putting in new branches every quarter. Where does it peak? Is this the peak? When do you start, deriving benefits from this very high cost to income?
Yeah, the growth, the benefits we are already beginning to see. This would be the sort of peak level. We are, for example, this quarter we'll be only opening or converting only about 17 branches. So to that, as against 90 odd branches previously. So you work out the numbers and you can see that the costs have peaked. And as we move into the new financial year, the real benefits of all what we have put in place in the last 2 years will come through.
Okay. Okay. What about, sir, the margin outlook from here on? Because this time you've maintained margins year on year. It's been a good show. But we just had someone on the channel telling us about how the expectation is that yields will start moving northwards, perhaps. What is the outlook on cost of funds and the guidance on the margin?
See, the margins we will always focus upon. The cost of funds is a thing that we have to understand. If cost of funds go up too much, we should be able to pass that on to the customers. If the cost of funds fall, we'll pass the benefit as well to our customers. So we are trying to keep the net interest margin around the current levels and work with that. So I think that is an important factor, because also contributing to our growth and coming in is income from other income, like the sale of third-party products and things like that. So as a banking outfit, there's a lot more that we are going to be able to bring to the bottom line, and I think that's what is making our difference as we go forward.
Okay. Now, Mr. Davis, for the most important thing, when and how are you planning to come to the Reserve Bank's requirement of bringing down promoter stake to 40% or under?
Yeah, the first requirement from the RBI is that we list in the next 12 months, because that is, we are just completing 2 years now, and within the next year, when we complete 3 years, we have to be as a bank listed as well as the holding company. So that is an issue which we have worked with. We will be approaching the Reserve Bank and discussing the ways in which we are going to be able to list, and we have to bring into the focus also other regulators like SEBI. So once we have their blessings, we will announce what we're going to do on the listing. Also, in the next 3 years, that is 3 years from today, we have to bring down the promoter holding to 40%, as you rightly said. And for that also, we have several things which we have discussed. Several options are there. Now, depending upon how the listing goes, we'll work with those options. Okay. So all plans are there, and we are moving forward, and we intend to keep to the RBI requirements.
No, I'm sorry. You have 3 years from date of listing to bring down the stake, so that's not an immediate worry. Will you list only after a year, or will we see the listing sometime soon?
Well, I think, given all the circumstances, the schedule of what's happening in the country, etc., the second quarter of the new financial year looks like an interesting period. But we'll have to wait and see. The most important is all the regulatory approvals have to come first.
Okay, and just a word more on growth. As you say, since you've opened branches at a frenetic pace, you should be able to maintain your disbursement growth for some time now. Can you even improve upon this?
Yes, I think, the branches we were mainly converting the branches from microfinance into full banking branches. So yeah, it's a conversion, but yes, at a huge pace, because, the whole process got derailed during demonetization. So we had to catch up with all of that, which we've done in this current financial year. So as you rightly said, the base is built, the seeds of growth have been sowed. Now you should see the benefits going forward. And that's what we tell all our shareholders, our customers, that bear with us. We build a base. We always believe in building a strong base. And once the base is built, the growth can come. And that's how we do it.
Have you got overtures from any other big banks, any inorganic moves at all that we should be prepared for?
Well, we haven't seen anything. So if you're aware of anything, let us know.
M&A always keeps the banking sector very, very interested and excited. But would you be open to something like this, sir? And let me just try and understand that. If you could give us a guidance or a number, end of FY19, what kind of a loan book size are you hoping to target? And if indeed a bigger bank were to approach you for some kind of an M&A, would you be open to something like this?
No, we are a widely held company, so we always look at the interests of our shareholders. So whatever is in the best interests of our shareholders, we will work in that direction. In terms of the AUM at the end of the current financial year, we will be north of 10,000, which is easily achievable now that we have crossed the 9,000 mark. So we will become a 10,000 plus, institution.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Davis. Many congratulations. I need hardly say that the market is pretty excited by the performance, and that's reflected stock up about 6% at this point in time. Any word on the markets, Anuj? As flat can get?
Yeah, it's yesterday's low is being supported. That's clearly one interesting bit which stands out. But I think the market is these days about positioning. Look at Bharti Infratel. We all thought that was the going to be the stock of the day or the earnings of the day. Perhaps because people had positions already in yesterday's trade or whatever. That stock is now down about 1.5%. On the other hand, you have an Interglobe which is now making highs of the day on what looked like optically a bad result. So the exception perhaps is Ujjivan, which on good numbers is still continuing, but it's really all over the place.
But Anuj, along with Interglobe, there's also Spice Jet, so there's a bit of an aviation play. But there is buying, for instance, that's returned to United Spirits. So the morning dip on Spirits is getting bought. Havells is finding more takers. So at least some of these stocks are not as bad as ever. But of course, TVS Motors, we've been looking at that one since the numbers came out. That's where there is no sign of buyers. So mixed trends. Relatively speaking, slight outperformance on the mid-cap index.
I have a feeling it's Ujjivan which is having a positive impact on Equitas, Satin Credit.
Yeah.
So looks like somewhere there is a better resilience, and maybe all these also got a bit of a beating during the debt market issue, and now some of them, the men are being separated, or the better ones are being separated.